think one of the biggest issues, and people are ignoring this sometimes, is that you need to babysit AI a lot.
Yes.
And unfortunately, AI needs babysitting for a number of reasons. One of them is hallucinations. AI makes stupid mistakes.
Are we going to get to a point where we're going to solve for hallucination, or are hallucinations going to always be a problem?
I mean, always is a strong word, because I don't know what's going to happen in 2,000 years. But at the moment, what I can tell you is nobody knows how to fix hallucinations. There's not even a methodology that's known.
So if I wanted to build a unicorn today, what would I need to do to be able to get funded? What steps should I take?
I can tell you exactly what you need to do. VCs are not going to like it, and they're not going to acknowledge this, but
Dr. Emmanuel Maggiori, hello and welcome. You're the very first guest I've had on this channel, which means that into the future, I will forever be looking back at this interview and wishing I did it differently. So sorry about that, but I'm still very excited to be speaking to you today. So you are a CTO and you have a PhD in automation, image, and signal processing. And you've written 2 books, which I have here. So we have Smart Until It's Dumb and Siliconed.
yes.
And I read Smart Until It's Dumb a year ago and then immediately read Siliconed because they are both really good books and I highly recommend them. And I will link to them in the description. So very excited to have you on the channel. So I'm going to start with, you had a bit of a wake-up call about the tech industry. And can you just tell me about when that happened? When did you realize the tech industry wasn't quite what you were expecting and maybe wasn't quite what most of us were expecting?
I think it happened, unfortunately, very early. I've had different, phases and different experiences, but I worked for a startup early on. This was right after my PhD, and I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the team, and we're still in touch. We're friends, But I was like, these people are trying to do AI related stuff. I used AI a lot during my PhD, so people were hiring me to do AI related stuff before it was cool. This was, people call it data science. And I thought there isn't much to do here in this company with data science. There's always stuff you can do, but they have other problems, bigger problems, right? And I had the impression that they'd hired me because it was fancy, it was trendy, and also because it was cheap, because they got government, what do you call it? Like government tax breaks, if you want, from hiring a person who actually, had a PhD and could do R&D stuff. So they got all these R&D credits. And I think it was like, okay, I cost them like $5,000 a year, which was pretty low for them. So it was like, why not? Very quickly, I was like, okay, this doesn't make a lot of sense. We're trying to use AI, but we don't have data, right? And they had lots of business issues, like validating what the user wanted, really, or what the client really wanted. So I kind of helped with that in the end a lot. It's okay, let's build a prototype. So it was a good experience, but I started feeling like this is a little bit strange. I was hoping I would be building real products that people would use, and then I moved to London at that point. I was living in France back then, and I moved to London and I got a new job. And the experience was, again, a little bit similar. At first, very exciting. And I built really, really nice algorithms that are used by a lot of people. They're still being used and they've made a lot of money. But then you also saw this other side, of people not necessarily working that hard or cherry picking results to promote your stuff in the organization. But so far, so good. But then I thought, I'm going to work as a consultant. I'm going to do more, take on independent projects here and there, and started doing that. And I landed on this very famous company that you've definitely heard of. And people I didn't have anything to do. And my only work was to kind of pretend that AI worked better than it did, right? So it was almost a little bit fraudulent because I arrived in this team and they had already built a product, right? So I was supposed to help improve the product, but the product never really worked, and it was a tool to help people make decisions in the organization, right?
Right.
With AI. Because it was like AI is all the rage. And this was before ChatGPT, but companies were very interested. And the system could have never worked. If you'd had asked anyone, can we actually build this? They would have said, no, we don't have the data. It's very complicated. We're trying to simulate the effect of certain decisions without any data. Very, very difficult. But they kind of sold it very well internally in the business, right? And then you have a team with a lot of people in it, including me, and this product doesn't work. And whenever we had meetings and our system outputted a decision that contradicted the management, completely unfounded decision because the system didn't really work, they would be like, you're telling me I should, let's say, open a shop here, but I just decided to close a shop here. So the product manager would say, oh, there's probably a bug somewhere. And then we would go and kind of override the output to the point that the whole system was tailor-made to tell executives in the organization that their decisions were the right ones. Right? And I saw that, unfortunately, a little too much. Okay. And I started seeing a pattern with different companies of the cart before the horse. We're AI first, right? So we're going to try to shoehorn AI everywhere because it's trendy, without acknowledging its limitations. So it's not always, or actually I think it's almost never, a fraudulent thing to start with. It's not like people say we're going to lie.
No.
They actually believe AI is going to work and we need to use it, and we need to hire a lot of people. They get super excited. They hire sometimes 70 people in one go without knowing what they'll use AI for. I was also part of a team at that point that they'd never spoken with a potential user of what we were going to build. They didn't know what the user was, right? And they hired 70 people. They put a lot of people in a sort of staging area because there was literally nothing for them to do, but they wanted to hoard them. These are all PhDs, expensive people, difficult to find. They never knew what AI would be used for, right? So again, I see this enthusiasm about AI, forgetting everything else you've learned about business. Understanding your client, validating. They keep saying that we're going to build a prototype, but then they get so excited that they build really complicated products. They're not really prototypes, and then they don't work. What happens when they don't work? You kind of need to start lying about it, because if you just hired 70 people, do you want to be the person who says this doesn't work, so let's just take a step back? No, right? So I saw this whole pattern, and I think I was very naive before. I always thought that companies operate in a very efficient way, because it's like, otherwise you don't survive, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think I've become a bit more cynical over time.
But is that more common in tech companies because they've got the big funding behind them? They have this almost unlimited well of money that a corner shop or a restaurant just couldn't do something like that.
Yeah, I think they can get away with it a lot more. And one of the reasons, like you said, the funding that goes into technology companies is insane.
Yeah.
Right. In 2021, it was the spike. It was the highest point we've ever seen of investment. But also, people don't understand technology, right? The business people making decisions don't understand very well what it takes to build something. And I think that's a big part of the problem. If you're building this corner shop, like you said, it's harder. Or let's say you're a barber. People understand what it takes to, do a haircut. But then when you say we're going to build this fancy AI to help people make decisions with, there's lots of maths and nobody knows what it's like, right?
Yeah.
And I think this layer of obscurity makes this more prevalent in the technology industry.
And is it in your book Silicon, you talked about a lot of the focus of that book was about the 2021 bubble that then kind of came crashing down in 2022, 2023. But now, are we in a new bubble already so soon after that one? Like, has AI just fueled a brand new bubble?
I think that clearly things are still very bubbly at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think there was a New York Times article that said this, that this was the AI thing was like a Hail Mary moment. It was like a last attempt of the whole tech industry to remain relevant or to justify all the spending and to keep up all the enthusiasm. Right? So I would say that AI came at a very good time because blockchain didn't work, augmented reality didn't work, nothing worked of all the things they've been promising, and all of a sudden you have Chat GPT, and now it's like, hey, we're gonna go all in on the AI thing. So I think it's helped maintain the enthusiasm a bit longer. I would say we'll see how long it lasts, though.
What happened to the blockchain? Because I'm one of those people that gets very excited. Like I jump into these hype cycles, and I read all the books on the blockchain, and I was like, this is going to change everything. I'm so excited. And that was, I guess, 2014, 2015. I even took a blockchain course at one of the universities in London. I was like, I need to get ahead of this. And then I did that with Clubhouse, by the way, as well. I thought Clubhouse was going to be the next thing. You don't even know what Clubhouse is.
I don't know what that is. Yeah,
dumb social network. But anyway,
okay.
So I'm prone to getting caught up in the hype. What happened to blockchain?
Well, the first thing is that we should notice the silence, right? Because when these things go down, they're swept under the rug. No one's talking about blockchain anymore. So I think what happens all the time in the technology industry, which is enthusiasm about specific technology, which has its merit. Like this technology has good things, but there's we don't look at the limitations, right? And what happened with blockchain is that it's a sort of decentralized way of processing and storing information, right? As a database, it's actually pretty bad. It doesn't work very well because of all the overhead. So the limitations, like patient records in hospitals are going to be stored using blockchain technology. Like, okay, but why? What's so wrong about current databases? Right? And I think that limitation was overlooked. Right? It's just like, we don't look at that. And there's an upside, the whole, the advantage of Bitcoin, then that's a whole other bubble we could speak about. But the advantage of Bitcoin is that there is no central bank managing the currency that could alter the quantity of the currency outside its schedule, right? So for a specific use case of creating a currency that cannot be controlled by a central power, that's literally why Bitcoin started. Then the blockchain technology is good because you're storing information in a decentralized way, which means many different people manage this ledger. You can't just go and the government can't say, we're going to replace the record here. So you have to do it everywhere at the same time, and it's impossible. So there's a use case there for, let's say, a specific type of currency. Now, they try to use this blockchain technology for everything else. Right? And I'm like, why? So, and I think that's what happened. And you can see it with everything, with augmented reality, all these VR or AR goggles.
I got into that hype cycle as well.
Also, yeah. I think the failure there was in not recognizing that people don't like necessarily to interact with computers that way, right? People don't like to walk around with wearing goggles. They still like human interactions. They don't like a thing on their face everywhere. The whole metaverse was kind of a big fiasco too. And again, I feel like there are potentially advantages to that technology for specific use cases. But then what did I see? I like to go to trade shows of all kind, right? Because I learned a lot about different industries. And I remember being told how goggles would be used by everyone, by construction workers, by people who train. Like there was interesting. There was a company I spoke with, this startup. They're building, when you do corporate training, right? You have to do all the box ticking thing about
health and safety,
harassment, and all of that. And it's just very boring, and people just tick the boxes. So these people say, we're going to do this using augmented reality because it's the fancy new thing. But then when I looked at the product they were developing, you know what it was? I couldn't believe it. It was basically, in the goggles, you would essentially see the same kind of quiz where you tick boxes. There was nothing, because I thought maybe I'll learn about health and safety because I'll be moving in a certain place and I will
Yeah.
be, touching things.
Almost trip
No,
over a cable or something. Yeah.
trip over. No, you're just watching videos, and this basically it covers more of your, if you want, you feel the vision, because it's like, and they assured me that this engaged people more. This was more engaging for employees. Maybe they're right, but my intuition tells me that it's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very, very big disconnect with users, with clients that we see in the industry. They've forgotten about customers, right?
Mm.
Completely forgotten. You get this idea of you're going to book a flight by interacting with ChatGPT, and they show you the videos. I've seen demos of you type in. There was an example of buying things for dinner, and so the person typing, "I want to host a dinner in a Japanese theme. So what should
Mm.
I get?" And then the AI tells you should buy this type of knife that is typical or typically used in Japan, and gives you a link. I'm like, nobody actually wants to shop that way. I
No.
mean, I think most people actually know what they want, or they just go and, and the same thing with flights. Do you actually want to have a conversation about your dates, or you just want a calendar where you can just input your date or your destination,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think a lot of people get excited about a new technology. They forget about clients, they forget about users. They seem to lose all even common sense because they just like try to push the technology. I heard someone say that until maybe a decade ago, technology was kind of pulled. People were like, I want this to happen, and people built technology for that. And now it's being
Yeah.
pushed.
Whereas now it's being pushed. But the VCs the people are raising the money for this. And that's one of the things that you talked about in the book is that the money is there. It's coming. And I actually saw on social media this week a VC talking about how crazy it is at the moment and how she's getting 500 pitches a week and she can't keep up with them. And when they by the time she's gone back to people, they've already been funded. So it sounds like, if that's true, I mean, obviously it's on social media, it sounds like things are going crazy again. So if I wanted to, and in the book you make it sound quite easy for these companies to raise money. So if I wanted to build a unicorn today, whether or not that's a good idea, what would I need to do to be able to get funded? What steps should I take?
I can tell you exactly what you need to do. VCs are not going to
Brilliant.
like it, and they're not going to acknowledge this, but if it
Fine.
helps my personal experience, I've advised so many startups. I spend a lot of
Yeah.
time advising startups. They often reach out to me because they need help with AI, with a technical thing.
Yeah.
And then I realize they have business issues. So we end up speaking about who is your
Yeah.
client. I've spoken with so many startups. So I tell you exactly what you need to do. So
Okay.
first of all, you need to find an industry that is very, very trendy, that's very appealing, that you're going to transform, allegedly. You don't need to know how. You don't really need to be an expert in the industry. Your value proposition doesn't even need to make sense. Doesn't matter if you know what product. No idea. It needs to sound believable, but the details don't matter. But you need to prove that you, as a person, have a lot of grit. And you have a lot of experience. You are a successful business person. So this combination of, and we're talking as an early stage investment, right? So the combination of the people being appealing, as business people, and an industry which seems super cool right now. What investors are going to do, they're going to bet on you as a person. They will pretend that they bet on your idea or your solution, but behind the scenes, they're like, this is going to change. You'll have to pivot. You will be disappointed. You'll have to learn, because nobody ever comes up with an idea and it stays the same over time. So they kind of don't really care. It just needs to sound great on paper. If it has glaring defects, like the idea sucks for obvious reasons, that you can you spend 5 minutes and anybody would know this has a problem, that doesn't matter. believe me, the VCs, they're going to say that they analyze things properly. But from what I've seen, they focus mostly on the people and the problem area. Once you do that, you're going to get funding. Not sure if you're going to be a unicorn, though. You may be able to, get some seed funding.
Yeah.
But that gets you started. You're definitely going to get the money,
Okay, so I'm going to work
Yeah.
on my storytelling skills and
Yes.
big up
Yes.
my CV and my profile on social media. I'm going to buy some social followers and get a few people who've got MBEs or big followings to say nice things about me. And I'm most of the way there. Okay, so that's where I
Yeah.
went wrong, because I actually applied to Y Combinator and was
Mm-hmm.
resoundingly rejected.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, which is fine, because I didn't want to move to California anyway.
Okay.
But I do think the industry for the company that I'm still planning to build is boring. It's too boring,
Not gonna
and
work.
so I think that's. I'm going to say that it wasn't me personally they rejected. It was the industry was too boring. It wasn't sexy enough. So
Yeah.
but I'm going to
Because
big
these
myself up
people,
more next time.
they count on new rounds of investment, right? So you need to build something that then will attract more and more investment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And a lot of VCs, they make money from that, not from the company becoming profitable, because
yeah,
at one point they could sell their shares in a secondary market. So privately, they can sell their shares to others. So you need to be in this position of getting more funding, getting more, I mean, VCs are going to tell you they're idealistic. So they want you to work in an industry that can be really transformed, right? That's what they say. Look, I'm going to tell you something, and this is a VC that told me this, kind of a rebellious VC. He was saying that people are necessary, like good people are necessary, right? But they're not sufficient. And I think this is what VCs, I think, confuse. I don't know if they confuse because maybe it works well for them, but I have the feeling that they bet on people. And my experience from advising lots and lots of startups, it's not enough. People can be great, but if they go into an industry they know nothing about, or just only a little bit from academic research, they've never worked in the industry, it's very unlikely that they will be able to uncover an opportunity that can create long lasting business value, which is what you need for business. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And I think the VC story will be that it was outsiders that built Facebook. It wasn't people who worked in media. It was outsiders that built Airbnb. It wasn't people who worked in hospitality. And I know that's true, but it may have worked, in a few cases.
yeah.
My experience tells me that very unlikely to.
The vast majority of successful hospitality businesses are built by people with experience in hospitality, for sure. Yeah, I agree. And I think I always think doing things like teaching entrepreneurship in schools and going on one of those like founder boot camps or something, that doesn't make sense to me, because to me it's not something you're taught. It's if you're entrepreneurial, you're spotting opportunities all over the place. You have more opportunities to build businesses because you have more ideas than you can possibly think of. Finding the idea isn't the hard bit at all. That's the easy bit if you're that way inclined. And I don't think that can be taught, or not consistently.
Yeah, and also if it could be taught, you would be able to create a sort of machine that just produces successful companies. Sounds a bit like, can you actually systematize the process?
Yeah.
Like a bit of a chicken and egg thing, right? If you could actually do that, then everybody would go in and profits would be slashed. It's a bit, but I can tell you that I did go to one of those programs, which was a lot of fun. So it was a few years ago. I participated in this sort of reality show thing that you do, where they put you in a room with people to come up with business ideas, right? And launch startups, and they fund you if they like you at the end of the program. I did that in London with a very famous company that does that all over the world. And it was, I will tell you why I joined first. The reason I joined was that I would like to launch my own business one day. But I'm a technologist, which means I don't really know real problems that people have outside technology. And I had observed so much in the past that successful entrepreneurs knew a thing that was missing because they knew an industry. I've seen people, this is done in an inefficient way, right? So they can fix it and sell it right away because they have the connections. They know what's missing. They know the people who need the problem to be solved. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, successful business. And I've seen it many times, right? And I thought, okay, I don't know much about problems. And I'm having a conversation with this guy who participated in one of their programs. And he tells me the issue with these programs is that it's all business people and very few tech people. So they all have ideas, but they don't know who will build that. And I'm
Right.
like, wow, I'm going to be
You're going to
coveted.
meet your co-founder.
I'm going to meet my co-founder. So I applied for the program and I was accepted. You can have another job on the side. It's really full-time. And they pay you actually a little bit of money to help you as you're participating in the program. And the first 3 weeks they're fascinating. They literally put you in a room from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. pretty much, because you continue in the evening. You have every day for 3 weeks kind of to meet people and know what they're up to, what they want. And the thing I realized immediately is nobody actually has a business idea here or a problem they've identified. The people in the program were these idealistic people. They said, I want to do something in sustainability.
Right.
So why is that? Because I care about the planet. Do you know anything about this? No. Okay, what would you like to do? Well, either a software company to calculate some carbon related stuff, or maybe I will build sustainable packaging for food. So it's like completely...
It's quite broad.
Very broad. I'm not kidding. It was like this.
Yeah.
And actually, bringing in ideas was discouraged
Wow.
by the VC. Why? Because this is by design, because they think that ideas are worthless. What matters is the people who are going to change the ideas. And they also think you just need to identify a problem and then investigate it and see how you can fix it. Don't think of the solution. Again, I don't think that works, because you end up with very skillful people who are investigating a problem that you kind of need some inside information, right, from an industry to really know what's missing. So it's very hard to go and investigate and really get to the bottom of it, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So I decided not to launch a business.
And did anyone from that cohort launch anything that was meaningful or reasonably successful?
I mean, I think time will tell, because it's still,
Okay.
yeah, I will have to get back to you in a few years.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, and we'll see. Yeah, I think a few things were launched.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't think these companies are doing well. So these factories of startups overall, they're not doing well.
Okay.
Right?
That's I mean, that's not surprising, I guess.
I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So we've talked about how I would build a unicorn. But what if I don't want to build a unicorn? I just want to build a moderately or quite successful business which pays me well, and works and does something meaningful. And I'm talking about like this, I genuinely am in the process of doing, I hope. Does AI, my question for you, and I believe it does, but I buy into hype cycles. Does AI make that dream more realistic or less realistic?
I think it doesn't change anything.
Right.
Because let's go back to the beginning part of your question. So you're saying you want to build a successful business, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean? A small one, let's say. So what does that mean? There are two big challenges with building a successful business. The first thing I want to tell you, I heard someone say a few days ago that no company has ever failed because of the selection of a programming language or a specific technology, right? You never hear, oh, this company failed because they use Python instead of C++. No. And to me, AI fits into that category. It's a specific technology you may use for a certain goal. But businesses fail for business reasons. And there are
Yeah.
two. In the beginning of the business, they fail because of a lack of, I would say, product market fit. Even earlier, they fail because of a lack of a well-defined value proposition. I have
Mm-hmm.
seen this so much. Companies don't define what they're doing, and they don't know who their clients are. So they struggle to sell whatever they're doing because even the messaging is hard to, when you're doing a little bit of everything. And I'm like, who is this for? So they don't
Yeah.
hone the messaging very well. Then if they do, maybe it's the wrong product, and you need to find that product market fit. Sometimes it takes quite a while of experimentation and kind of learning from clients. Um, there are lots of stupid practices that have become, I think, very popular in that domain, like this whole lean approach. I love the lean approach. I think it's the
Mm-hmm.
right approach,
Yeah.
meaning build a small thing and see what happens instead of
Mm-hmm.
overthinking. However, that experiment needs to be worth doing. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you can do anything. A lot of people think that lean means I'll just build whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you build whatever, it never works. You don't even get valuable feedback when you build whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the first reason why the business fails. You fail to identify that thing that people need. The second reason later on why they fail is because they fail to create a competitive advantage or to sustain a competitive advantage, which means you have access to some secret sauce or some exclusive sauce that
Mm-hmm.
helps you make more money, or retain clients compared to competitors. Again, lots of misconceptions about that. Some people think that just by having fancy technology or even a differentiated product, it's like, oh, just have a differentiated product. And it's like, that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Your competitors can build the same differentiated product.
Yeah.
If it's a good idea, you need another edge, like switching costs, make it hard for people to leave you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good competitive advantage. But anyway, all of this is business talk. I haven't mentioned specific technology, and AI is a specific technology.
Mm.
What could happen is that if you identify a problem that is worth solving, your messaging is right, you know how to get the customers, you know how to reach out to them. The way you solve the problem for them could be with AI, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the process even could use help from AI, like to improve your copywriting a little bit, or like, so it's not about building an AI product. It could also be, to help you hone your sales process a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So there are things you could be doing differently that you could do before, though. You could have hired someone to help you with
Yeah.
copywriting. Now, maybe some of it can be done, not all of it, but a little bit with AI. So part of the process may change a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, do you have higher chances of succeeding thanks to AI? I'm like, probably not, because the problem is still value proposition, product market fit, competitive advantage. It's not what specific technology you use.
So the way I look at it as AI kind of helping me with in this particular space is
Mm-hmm.
it's a service business. So I
Mm-hmm.
built and ran and sold a service business before.
Yeah.
And one of the big issues with a service business is my first 5 clients all worked with me and they all liked working with me. And then client 6, we had to hire people in. And then client 6 was like, well, we kind of wanted to work with you. And I would have to train the person that I brought in and encourage
Mm-hmm.
client 6 to work with them.
Mm.
And then and then client 6 loved them. And then client 9 now needed third person and didn't work out with third person. So we had a bit of a disaster and we lost client 9 and we had to like hire a
Yeah.
different person to be the third person. So with AI, my hope, and I haven't proven this yet because I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually finding implementing AI and using AI much harder and like much more challenging than
Mm-hmm.
I believed it would be 6 months ago. But my hope is that I can kind of scale myself so that I can do a lot more profitably
Mm-hmm.
without I can service kind of 5 times the number of clients I would have been able to service 2 years ago because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of what I'm doing can be automated. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean I'll be able to scale the business unlimited because I'll still need to meet with clients. I'll still need to speak to
Mm-hmm.
them. I'll still need to be the face of the business. But I'm hoping that that will kind of give me the edge, which also
Yeah.
enables me to go for a market that historically no one goes for because it's not profitable, because it's a market that needs more personalized service but can't afford it. So that's where I'm
Yeah.
hoping that AI will be able to
To
help
kind
me
of
create that profitable business.
help automate the
Yeah.
repetitive, the boring stuff. Yeah. I see what you mean,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
the thing is, we need to see how easy it is to automate those things with AI. I
Yeah.
think it can help with many things for sure. And I've used AI myself to help me with certain stuff, right?
Mm.
But I think one of the biggest issues, and people are ignoring this sometimes, is that you need to babysit AI a lot.
Yes.
And that's a big part of the issue. You're trying to kind of automate yourself away from this, a lot of this work, right? But what if you actually need to go and babysit AI? And unfortunately,
Yeah.
AI needs babysitting for a number of reasons. One of them is hallucinations. AI
Mm-hmm.
makes stupid mistakes
Mm-hmm.
once in a while. But that's enough for you to kind of need to be there
Yeah.
fixing up the mess, right? Another problem is the lack of control over the output that you have.
Mm.
Happens a lot, and I've heard this a lot already. People try to use AI for a certain job. They write a prompt. AI produces an output, but one part of this output is not exactly what you wanted. So you improve the prompt. You say, don't do this. You get a new output, but then another part changed.
Mm.
That was good initially. So
Yeah.
then you go back. And at one point you get frustrated and you're like, so in my opinion, AI can help with tasks that you can describe it very easily, very
Yeah.
easily. And you are okay with the output, whatever it is, right?
Mm.
So it's tasks where excellence doesn't matter so much. You just need
Yeah.
anything, right?
You can't build a business on tasks where excellence doesn't matter, or not the kind of business I want to build.
Exactly. I mean, you tell me that, but I think for a lot of people lately, they
I
believe
do.
that building a business is like, well, just do whatever. And I don't think
Yeah.
that that's how it works.
Interesting.
I think this human edge, and I
Mm.
think businesses succeed a lot because of all you said. Speaking with clients, you're not going to be able to automate that. I still will do that, and I believe that's because you think you're going to do a better job than putting a robot to speak with clients.
Yeah, and because I wouldn't trust the robot.
You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
trust the
trust what they
robot. Yeah,
say.
yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people underestimate what it takes to do certain
Mm.
jobs. I always share the same
Absolutely.
example. I think I need to find new examples. But there's this show called Homeland, the spy show with Claire Danes. One of the features of that show was that every season it seemed to speak about very relevant stuff that was happening as you watched it, but it was shot a year before. How did they do that? Well, they did what they call the spy camp. Every year, they would hold an event for like a week, including the actors, not just the writers. Everybody was invited, and they would invite ex-CIA people. Edward Snowden was invited to
Wow.
brainstorm the topic of next year's season so that it's
Wow.
relevant. Now, then you watch the show and you're like, oh, AI can write a TV show. Well,
Mm.
no, because maybe some TV shows, but the most successful ones have this human component and all this work that AI can't really do. I
Mm.
think it can do it, but a lot of people will say, yes, just ask AI about ideas and they sound good, but I don't think they're going to give you the insights that you will get from Edward Snowden or from an ex-CIA operative, and when you watch Friends, the show was shot in front of a live audience. The laugh track is real. When people didn't laugh, they rewrote the lines on the spot. They
Yeah.
huddled up and they were like, people didn't laugh. Let's
Yeah.
try a few other lines. And they actually did a show of hands, people saying, okay, what joke is better? Did you understand the joke? Did you not laugh because you didn't understand it or because you thought it was a bad joke? Right? All
Yeah.
these things, the human interaction that made the show remarkable, right? And
Yeah.
I think people tend to look at others' work and think, okay, it's easy to do, right?
Mm.
And it's not that easy to do.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's easy to write the script, but writing the script is the last 5% of
Yeah.
the long journey where 95% of it has been coming up with
Oh yeah.
the concepts and what to write and all of
Oh
that.
yeah. Look,
Can
I'm writing. Yeah. Go on.
we go back to hallucinations? Because I want to ask
Yes.
you I'm very interested in what you have to say about hallucinations, because you describe them as epic fails in Smart Until It's Dumb. And obviously, well, actually, a lot of people don't know that AI hallucinates, because I have this conversation with a lot of people, and they're surprised to know that AI hallucinates and why it hallucinates. But are we going to get to a point where we're going to solve for hallucination, or are hallucinations going to always be a problem?
I mean, always is a strong word, because I don't know what's going to happen in 2,000 years. But at the moment, what I can tell you is nobody knows how to fix hallucinations. There's not even a methodology that's known to build AI that doesn't hallucinate. And this is a big problem, because you can only fix hallucinations if there's a sort of scientific discovery of a new method that will fix them. And you can't predict scientific discoveries. You can't. People pretend you can. Like, oh, look how fast it's been going. It's going to happen. But they've been saying that of nuclear fusion power, like, for decades. They haven't managed to find that thing that's missing to make it work. We're in the same situation with hallucinations. And I've been saying this for a very, very long time. If you look at my book, the title of the book, like you said, epic fails. I call them epic fails. So the reason I call them epic fails was because the word hallucination didn't exist when I wrote it. It kind of became popular a few months after I published the book. It's a central theme of my book. So it was kind of, I predicted this, if you want. Originally, I didn't make a big deal about the hallucination thing. And my book had a very dull title that it was called The AI Hype. And what AI can do, what AI can't do. And I hired a designer for the cover. And the designer is the kind of excellent work kind of person, right? The thing AI wouldn't do. This designer works very differently from most designers. He likes to read the books cover to cover. And he read my book and he told me, you know what? I think you should change the title. So before I designed a cover, he was like, I feel like the central theme of your book is that AI fails epically once in a while. So it looks very smart until it's not, right? And then he came up with a title, which is, smart until it's, I have it here, smart until it's dumb. Why artificial intelligence keeps making epic mistakes? So I've been worried about these epic mistakes for a while, right? Yeah. And I can actually tell you a story of how worried I was about this from, I think it was 2017. I had finished my PhD. I had a very good problem, which was that I got lots of phone calls from people who wanted to hire me at the time. And a lot of them were for self-driving cars. They wanted to build self-driving cars. I'd done my PhD in image analysis with AI. So I was a good candidate for it. And I refused to even interview with them, which is a very spoiled thing to do at the time. I was like, I'm not even interviewing with them because what they want to build is impossible.
Right.
These people want to build cars that drive themselves everywhere, and these cars will hallucinate. There will be situations where they will fail horribly, and it will kill the industry, right? And people kind of called me a Luddite at the time. They were like, why are you so afraid of technology? And I was like, I don't want to work in this industry. And I didn't. And 10 years later, we discovered that the industry is failing due to hallucinations specifically, to the point that cruise cars, the company Cruise, they have more people working in a control room, operating the cars remotely or intervening when they get confused, than the number of people, than the number of cars. So for every for every car roaming the streets, there are 1.5 employees monitoring the cars. And whenever they get confused, they intervene. This came out about a year ago. And Waymo, the biggest competitor, same story. They have a control room. We don't know the number of people, but we know they intervene every 3 to 5 miles of driving.
Wow, I had no idea, because I actually wanted to ask you about self-driving cars, because I was like, in the book, you said it's not possible, but it is possible. Look, it's happening. But okay, that's interesting.
So I feel like I should add a few more paragraphs to the book to tell these stories, because... And look, I can be wrong sometimes, I'm not going to say that my predictions are always right. But with these ones, I had this sense of, I don't know if it's my experience working with AI or my intuition of what it is, but I immediately knew this self-driving car, it's just not going to happen. And it kind of went the way I predicted. And it's all
Mm.
about hallucinations. And that's why I'm telling you this story.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So going back to startups, what do you think these VC funded startups, the founder, so I've told my brilliant story, I've got my sexy industry, I've managed to convince these VCs that I'm the person to invest in. They've invested in my business. I think I'm building a unicorn. What are the things that takes founders by surprise on the other side of a VC deal?
Huh. Well, I mean, I think I've spoken with people who were raising money and didn't even know what preferred shares were, for
Yeah.
example, right? Preferred shares means the investor is given their money back before you
Mm.
get paid anything.
Yeah.
So it means you might end up empty-handed, right, after building a business that doesn't go that well,
Yeah.
right? So you may own 30% of a business that sells for 10 million. You may not get 3 million from that deal
Mm.
if
Mm.
investors gave you 3 million, because you need to give them that money first. So I think it's very good to first of all understand how those deals are made. There's a
Mm-hmm.
book that everyone recommends, which I have somewhere over here. It's called Venture Deals. Venture Deals,
Okay.
which is a good way to learn about. I think
Mm.
another big surprise, I've heard this a lot, is that you raise money and then the VC, the partners and the VC firm are not going to be there for you much. You're going to be
Mm.
interacting with a guy who just finished his MBA,
Mm.
right? And he is 22 and he doesn't know anything about business except some metrics like your business should have 1 million ARR by year one. And that's the
Yeah.
yardstick to measure. So I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs feel a little bit abandoned by the
Mm.
investors. I've heard better stories of angel investors. So when you get an individual to give you money, they seem to be a little bit more invested in you and help you more.
Yeah.
So I've heard that. But yeah, another thing is that I feel what I can see everywhere is that founders keep making again the same mistake with value proposition, product market fit. And instead of being told your copywriting is bad, I don't understand what your business does from your website.
Yeah.
You don't see anybody telling them this. You don't see
Mm.
VCs helping them with any of that, right? And and I think they get a sense of validation actually of what they're doing being right from the fact that nobody's criticizing any of that. And I think founders can go a long time thinking that they're building a solid business without actually doing what it takes to build a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good segue into a game I want to play.
Oh, really?
So this is about startups achieving their mission. So I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you the mission, and you have to tell me the company whose mission this is. Okay,
Ooh,
ready?
let's see. Do you think I will know the company?
You'll know, yeah, you'll know all the companies.
Oh,
Okay, the first mission is to elevate the world's consciousness.
to elevate the world's consciousness. I would say, is this one of the like meditation apps? Like,
No,
I don't think
it's
so.
WeWork. That was their
Oh,
mission in
oh,
2009.
oh, okay. Yes, yes. That's what you expect from a real estate business, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, to
Yeah.
ignite opportunity by setting the world in motion.
To ignite opportunity by setting the world in motion.
Yep,
I'm thinking it would be some mobility. Come on. Is it Uber?
it is
It
Uber. Well
is
done.
Uber.
So you got one
Yes.
point. Okay.
I'm
Okay, I
starting to get
chose
the
this
game
one.
now.
I chose the next one because it is very hypocritical. To democratize financial services.
Huh. Microsized
I'll
financial
give you a
service.
clue. This is a company that's had a couple of debanking scandals in the last 2 years.
Is this? I don't know if I'm familiar with this. Could it be something like Monzo or one of those?
PayPal.
Oh, PayPal. Okay. Okay.
Okay, next one. We've got two more.
Yeah.
To design a more enlightened way of working.
And it is not WeWork.
No.
A more enlightened way of working.
Yeah.
Could this be Canva?
It's Dropbox. Just save your files in a more enlightened way.
Oh.
Okay, and I think you're going to get the last one, but we'll see. To invent products, services, and experiences that help people consume the fresh foods that manifest true health and longevity. You wrote about them in your book.
The food? To help people what again?
That fresh foods that manifest true health and longevity.
Fresh foods. Do I speak of any company doing that? Is
The
it
company
totally?
doesn't exist anymore. There's your clue.
Oh my god! Don't tell me this is Juicero.
It is Juicero. That was their mission.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So, what do you think is going on here?
I think that marketing people are writing missions and visions and purposes. And I think that they have absolutely fuck all to do with what actually goes on in these companies.
Yeah. My
So
feeling is that they are also writing this for investors, not for
absolutely.
clients.
And
They're
when you
writing it for
talk about
investors.
sexy products,
Mm-hmm.
like how do you
And
make
there's
file
also like,
saving and file sharing product is it sexy? Well, design a more enlightened way of working. That's how you do it.
maybe this is a little too cynical, but I have the impression that investors like people who know how to tell a story, a good story,
Mhm.
because they want them to keep telling that story to other people to increase the
Yes,
valuation of the company. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of that in there, making it prove that we can bluff, we can
absolutely.
blabber.
We're
Uh,
changing the world.
we're changing the world, and I think going back to the WeWork story, Adam Newman was, I mean, he was, let's say, a little bit disgraced after what happened with WeWork. He walked away with 700 million cash before the company collapsed because he sold his shares privately, and then he also got bank loans secured against the remaining shares. And then the company had the famous fail IPO. So that's kind of, we would say, not very nice. And obviously, his business didn't make any sense from a business
Mm.
point of view. But
Mm.
then he got a lot of funding from famous VCs for his next company without even knowing what he was going to do. And I wonder why. And then I thought, could it be because he knows how to tell a good story? VCs know that this guy can prop up the valuation of a business. It worked for him. It worked for anybody who walked away early enough.
Crazy.
So it's a lot of
Absolutely.
storytelling.
So I haven't actually looked up what has happened to his next business. Do you know?
I don't know. No, not at the
Mm.
moment. But I heard that it's still running, I think, and it's received some of the biggest checks that VCs have ever handed out to anyone,
That's crazy.
which is kind
Absolutely
of crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
That that wouldn't come up in due diligence.
I
Like
know.
it's just ridiculous.
Sometimes it makes me wonder, maybe the problem is not that it didn't come up in due diligence. It's just that it doesn't matter because the
Yeah, it
point
came
is
up, but it doesn't matter.
you
Yeah.
just want a good storyteller. Again, if you remember, we said earlier today that VCs want people who have a lot of grit, a lot of willingness. I mean, Adam Newman has that. He did
Yeah.
build this empire, and they think it's a little bit of a lottery, but you can just bet on, throw darts,
Yeah.
many of those people, and then one of them will build the next, Airbnb or something. I think that's
And I
how they think.
suppose if I was disgraced in that way, with such big numbers, I would still be hiding hiding somewhere 5 years later. But it takes a lot of grit to come back from that. It's like,
I
well, I
know.
took
I mean,
I took almost £1 billion dollars out, and now I'm back. Oops, it didn't work out, but I'm back. And hi,
yeah,
everyone. Like
yeah.
we kind of got to respect that in a
I
way.
know. I mean, if you want, resilience, which is
Yeah.
this is I've heard this word a lot, that VCs, they
Yeah.
want resilient founders. There you have one.
Yeah. That is
Very resilient.
insane.
Yeah. I also think that sometimes these founders, I'm not sure they realize that what they've done is wrong. And I've met a few people, unfortunately, or fortunately, because I've learned, but over the past few years, I've met at least a handful of founders they were defrauding people.
Mm.
So they were not being truthful about the
Yeah.
capabilities of their products, the technical details of their products, their revenue. I've seen, and I think from what this is, again, I'm not like a psychotherapist, but
Mm.
my feeling was that they believe so much in their cause or even in their own talent that they thought these were white lies, because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Very soon, the product will work. So it doesn't matter if I say that it works, right?
Yeah.
That kind of attitude. So yeah, maybe Adam Newman is still
Absolutely.
convinced that he built a really successful sort of tech startup, which is how he's
Yeah.
selling his business.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
I think actually a lot of fraud isn't somebody sitting down and saying, okay, this is my plan to defraud these people. I think it happens more organically with somebody justifying a little decision there, justifying a
mm-hmm,
white lie there. And
mm-hmm,
I think and then I think they get caught up in it, and
mm-hmm,
it's hard to come back. And so it
yeah,
continues. And I'm like, I would imagine that that's what happened with Theranos. I would imagine
yeah,
she got quite far. She'd raised a lot of money. And I don't think maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think she would have sat there age 19. I'm dropping out of
yeah,
Stanford or whatever it was
to build
to
a fraudulent
defraud
business.
a
Yeah,
whole lot of famous people. I don't think she said
no,
that was her plan. I think she believed in her
no,
vision, but
yeah,
just couldn't walk away when
yeah,
it was
yeah.
time
And I
to.
think this excitement about AI or technology, but it can cause a lot of that, because people will be so convinced that you can do this that they will hire people, get investment, right? And when you see that it's not working, what do? Do you tell the truth? Unfortunately, what I've seen is people do not tell the truth, because there's a lot at stake. Do you want to be the person firing a team or telling investors, oh no, actually this product AI will not work because it hallucinates and our clients don't like it. So
Yeah.
you're like,
It's already, there's so much confirmation bias has happened to get to that point.
mm-hmm,
And
yeah,
it's now like new biases are kicking in. It's like you've got to be consistent with what you said before. And I think that is really challenging. So, in
yeah.
terms of the future, what is it about AI that you're excited about?
Well, I'm excited about people being able to do things that they couldn't before, or that was too complicated. Like, one of my friends, his English isn't very good. His written English, he can speak, but he's just terrible. And he runs a business, and his communications are often very poor because, and he's now able to use AI to fix his writing, but
Yeah.
also learn. He learns how to write better, and I think that's good. I'm excited about that. Yes, he
Hmm.
could have done it earlier, but would you hire someone to proofread
Yeah.
your stuff?
Yeah.
It's making it easier.
More
So I think,
accessible.
yeah. So I am excited about that. Um,
Hmm.
I think some, editing videos now. You have if I think a lot of low end work will become easier. Not the high end stuff, but a lot of low end
Mm.
stuff. Like I want to crop my video, and now you can use AI to transcribe the video and just use the text, just remove words and
Yeah.
stuff. It doesn't. It's not that great because sometimes it's a bit choppy. But it kind of does a good enough work. So some things will become easier, I think,
Mm.
and I think there's a whole transformation going on in terms of how we search for information.
Hmm.
One thing that has happened, and I don't know what will happen with AI, but one thing that has happened is that people don't trust Google anymore because of all these SEO pages. And I'm sure like you've done it before. So let's say you want to go on holiday. I went to Belfast in Ireland, and I'm like, okay, should I go to the Titanic Museum? Is it good? If I type that into Google search box, I literally ignored all the blogs because I know they're trying to sell me a holiday. I know they're not curated. It's packed with keywords. So what did I do? It's like, is Titanic Belfast worth visiting? Reddit. And then I go and see what people on Reddit say, because I want proper human interactions. I want to know genuine stuff. And people on Reddit, they're going to be fighting, they're going to be disagreeing, but I'll get a genuine idea of whether that museum is worth visiting, right? And I think there's a change here. AI is trying to help. We have the AI search results. Something's changing. It's terrible. Google search results, they hallucinate most of the time, I have to say. Not enough. People don't even know. If you go and check the source almost never says what AI says, which is terrible.
It's crazy.
Awful. It's crazy. And it's almost every time. And people don't know this. So I'm not saying the solution is good, but I do see, a lot of people are just chatting with ChatGPT to learn things. I don't know if I'm excited because I see all this other side with hallucinations and stuff. I see a change taking place in how people consume information. And we're going to see what happens. I have to say, in the realm of education, a lot of people are really worried about what's happening with students using ChatGPT to write an essay.
Yeah.
I think some good things could come out of it, because I think a lot of education, it's just not working very well. They're not evaluating people in a good way. And that's why students just use ChatGPT to write the essay, because they don't think the essay is worth writing in the first place. They don't think you're going to learn anything.
Yeah.
Teachers are using AI to grade the essays, which proves that they also don't care so much. Right? So I'm like, something here in education is just not quite right. And maybe AI will help reveal problems. Right? It's true that I think it could be negative, because people may learn less when they rely on AI. There's already some research saying that that's the case. But at the same time, it may reveal problems, right, with the process as it used to be.
So I'm excited. Be a catalyst for change and improvement.
Yes. Hopefully. Hopefully, and it will. Yeah.
So then, I know you're not worried about the spam filter realizing that a good way of preventing spam is to get rid of all humans. So you're not particularly, or in the book you say you're not worried about AI going rogue or going the kind of off brief. But what worries you about the future as with AI?
Well, I think my worry is it's always been the same, which is people believing that AI is more powerful than it is, and not acknowledging its limitation and using it in an unsafe way. Example, self-driving cars. But the thing, if I don't think the spam filter will kill me, I'm a little bit more fearful of that. Not because AI will go rogue, but I'm afraid that people will, for example, get AI to generate code, computer code, and they will execute the code without validating it, which is what AI agents are supposed to do. And that will cause issues that go beyond, because a spam filter is limited to literally filtering spam. How could it go? How could it kill you? There's not even, because this is based on something Elon Musk said once. It's like spam filter could realize that the best way of getting is to, how is it going to go around and kill people? It's literally a piece of software that says spam yes or no, and that's moved into your spam folder. No way to kill you. It's not even connected to a system that could kill you.
Yeah.
But what if people end up trusting AI to write code, then execute this code in a computer, which will send emails actually to people? There was this guy who asked ChatGPT if he needed a visa to travel somewhere, said no. He went to the airport and he couldn't fly because he actually did need a visa. Small problem perhaps, but things like that, I think they've become more possible now.
Yeah.
And the narrative is that, they do add the disclaimers like AI search could not be truthful, but I don't think people are necessarily aware of how much it fails, how much it lies. So my fear is the same as before, kind of amplified, is a bad use of AI based on an over reliance of AI and use it in unsafe scenarios. I think the best use cases for AI are when it's not really critical, when you need an assistant, yeah.
So my big fear, which is, I seem to be the only person who is worried about this, but my big fear is surveillance.
Okay.
So I think that we are being watched and monitored more than we probably know, and more than we would probably consent to if we sat down and thought about it. And I feel like it's getting cheaper and easier to do more surveillance, and it's getting more accessible to whoever wants to kind of crunch the data and draw conclusions off that surveillance. And we're giving away more data. I mean, I've got social media channels. We give away a huge amount of data. And my concern is that that is going to result in us being less free at some point in the future. And I think it's impossible to predict what that point will be, but I think the pandemic was a little window into there will be a situation where your government will be able to justify clamping down on your freedom. And now they'll be able to, at some point in the future, not only will they be able to say, I want to clamp down on your freedom, but they'll be able to check. They'll be able to take the data from your Aura Ring, your cell phone, some number plate, license plate scanning app, your credit card, bring it all together and say, there was that lockdown and you were only allowed to go out 1 hour of the day, but you were out 1 hour and 17 minutes, and therefore we are going to fine you, or something like that. So that's the thing that makes me very nervous. Possibly, I mean, I am nervous about the existential threat, but I don't think I can do anything about it. Whereas this is something that I feel like I might be able to do something about. But that's the thing that makes me quite nervous.
I can see why AI could help with this, because it's making it easier to process data, like processing footage and seeing how far away from home did you go, because in many places during the pandemic they had restrictions of how far you could go for a jog. Right? Yeah. One of my greatest fears, during the pandemic and my learnings was that I had the impression that a lot of the rules were stupid, provably stupid. Right? If you go for a run by yourself, does it really make a difference if it's like 1 mile or 2 miles away from home? Here in the UK, so you can eat at a restaurant, but you can't have a drink. And some people were like, is eating a Scotch egg, does it count as a meal? So can I sit down, right? A Scotch egg, for those who don't know, is like a little egg wrapped in like pork meat, I think, whatever.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it sounds like, saying that rules are stupid. I think some people take it really badly, and they think that you need to comply with rules, whatever the rules are, right? So it's a lot about obedience and compliance. And I think that doesn't bode well to me, because it seems like that's how tyranny starts. It's like, accept the rule, even if it doesn't make sense, because we tell you so, or because the scientists told you so. And that worried me a lot. That the thing that, and I think I was quite happy to be in the UK at the time, because even though there were some stories, I felt like people didn't care so much about making stupid rules be respected, right? And I think it's a general thing in the UK. Like, kind jaywalk, cyclists run red lights when there's no one around, and nobody we live in a society where rules are kind of
open to interpretation.
They're open to interpretation. I remember when lockdowns were lifted, I went to France, back where I used to live, and I was surprised at the rules, how they were, and it wasn't just even COVID. I was at this gym, and I was warming up for bench press. So I was lying down on the bench, and I had put 5 kilos on each side of the barbell, right? Which is the most harmless thing you can do. And I'm warming up, and the guy at the gym comes by and said, here, it's mandatory to put clips at the end of the barbell.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of made me put clips, And I was like, your boss isn't here. It was like super young guy, maybe like an intern. I was like, why are you enforcing this rule? In England, they wouldn't enforce this rule, even if it was there, right? And with COVID, I saw a lot of that in France with the vaccine passports. For example, I was at a restaurant and they checked my vaccine passport at the checkout counter. So it was a self-service, right? And you just go with your tray, you get your food, and only at the very end, when you've maybe infected everyone, that's when they check and I'm like, this doesn't make sense, provably, this rule. Yet people comply with this, right? And that was the thing that worried me most. But why are people in some places accepting so much that rules are sacred? Because that's how things, go bad, because then you're kind of accepting this. And I can see why the AI thing would worry you if you share this kind of worry, because we can see how it could expedite the process of potentially applying rules that don't make a lot of sense, or that people don't agree with, or like a little bit of stepping over what, so I can see that happening. I can see people going crazy about building better surveillance systems now that
absolutely. I saw one yesterday that was like it was a camera-based system. I don't know where in the world it was. I hope it wasn't in the UK. Installed in a coffee shop, monitoring which barista was faster. And like that sort of nonsense. Like, no, back off. I don't want that.
Right.
It's crazy.
I think there will be definitely more use cases for.
So I'm going to have to think about how to prevent that, or how to prevent giving away my data, so that I'm one of the few people that can't be surveilled at scale. Very hard to do when you run a YouTube channel.
Yeah. I think that this EU Act, the EU AI Act. I don't remember all the details, but I think it does forbid, the use of AI for surveillance. I think except for targeted surveillance, though. So if they're, say, searching for a specific person, maybe. So I think they've tried to be cautious regarding that,
but I don't see. I suppose we're not EU anymore, so we're not subject to that. But if you go into Waitrose, you're being monitored. You go into Morrison, Sainsbury's, they're doing it. So
have you been to Amazon Fresh, where they film you to prepare your receipt?
I have absolutely not done such a thing. There's absolutely no way.
Yeah, I was invited to speak at a podcast by this guy who is a big fan of privacy, and I never saw his face, and I didn't know his real name.
Oh, wow.
He's very, very into privacy, and he has a channel, his books, but it's a mystery who this person is. And he told me I would never go to Amazon Fresh, right? Because they're literally filming you. And
that's very interesting. Well, it's too late for me to do that, because I'm already in the public domain.
Yeah. You know what I'm afraid of, though, when you say all this, is that, and look, someone asked me recently, should we share company data with ChatGPT? Is it okay? Because someone told me they saw their colleagues put sensitive data in ChatGPT to help with an internal presentation that needed to be made, right? So it's confidential information, and they were using ChatGPT. And I think my answer to that, so it's a little bit nuanced in the sense that they are safeguards. So if you read the terms and conditions, you will see that companies tell you, for example, for corporate clients, we do not store your data, we just process it. And then it's dumped, and we're not going to use it to enhance our AI. So where my caution comes from, by working in the technology industry, is that, okay, but are people in those companies doing a good job at processing your data? Right? Let's assume that all of this is true, that they're not going to, process your data. They're going to fulfill their promises, but are they technically doing a good job? Because I've seen that shortcuts are very common, and there's this idea of we're a startup, we're growing, we're a technology company, we need to move fast. So sometimes they're willing to go around
Compromise.
good practice, a compromise. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it's like, I wouldn't necessarily be that cynical to believe that if I share my data with OpenAI, they're not being truthful and they're actually storing that data and giving it to the CIA. Like, I don't know if I would personally go that far.
No.
But are the employees of the company, for example, can they actually see the data because they didn't implement good safeguards?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think if you look back to a famous hack like Ashley Madison, I think it was called, the that was the dating website where you could cheat on your
Okay.
spouse, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that anybody who used that website, that used that tool, would have been absolutely reassured that their data was
Yeah.
safe, and then it wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the company probably intended for the data to be
yeah,
safe. They
yeah.
just didn't do a good job at it.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Or if you look at 23andMe now,
Mm-hmm.
they've had a big hack, but also they've gone into administration
Yes.
where I deleted mine, but like, where is my genetic
Yeah.
information
Yeah.
sitting? Did they delete it? Who are
Yeah.
the administrators? What are they, who's going to buy that
Yeah.
data? Like, you know,
Yeah. You know,
so
to me, that's also another sort of we work, going back to the business side of things, because
yes.
these companies that don't really have much of a competitive advantage, it's just
Mm,
a lab. And yes, everybody knows the name 23andMe, right? We know
yeah.
the name, but that's not that useful potentially, because I don't know if
No.
that gives you the edge of, because you're not going to use the service repeatedly like you do with Canva. So the name Canva is, I'll just go to Canva. It's like people
Yeah.
recommend 23andMe, but I could imagine people going on really aggressive competitors, going on aggressive marketing campaigns to essentially, even when you type in 23andMe, they will target you with an ad, and then you'll be like, oh, a
Yeah.
cheaper version of 23andMe. And I was like,
Yeah.
is this business worth billions, like they said? Yeah, well, maybe the data side of it, that's what they sold. But then it didn't work out, right? It collapsed and it's going through
Yeah, yeah, and it was a
administration.
big,
Yeah,
big disaster.
yeah,
So
yeah,
excellent. Well, I think we've kind of come to the end of our chat, which has been really amazing. And your books have both massively changed how I look at the startup world. And I worked in tech PR for almost 2 decades, so and they were massively eye-opening. So I hope this conversation does the same for anybody who's watching. Before we go, you are writing another book. Do you want to
yes.
just give me a quick summary of what it's all about?
Yeah. So before I'm telling about the book I'm writing, I'm publishing this one, the AI Pocket book.
Yeah.
It's
Okay. So
already,
that's the
yeah.
one that's about to be published or
Yeah,
has
it's.
been
I
published.
think it's already available on the publisher's website, but it will
Oh,
be on
brilliant.
Amazon soon. I'm going to send you a copy because even though it's kind of intended to help software developers and stuff, I wrote in
Mm.
a very kind of like, I speak about a lot of things we said today, like when not to use AI, what
Ah,
are
okay.
hallucinations, why do
Good.
hallucinations happen? So I have copies to send out to people, and I have lots of them. So I will, if you send me your address, I'm just going
I
to
will
mail you
do.
one. Yeah,
Thank you.
but yeah, I'm working on a new book on economics actually, which
Mm.
is kind of again in this de-hyping sort of thing.
Mm.
Um, it's a little bit off topic, but not really, because I like to kind of stop these ideas potentially or help people process them
Yeah.
before they become. And I will be debunking a theory called modern monetary theory that has become very popular in
Hmm.
some circles. It's essentially an economic theory that says the government could and should print more money, and that will help do good and also will
Mm.
not cause inflation. And they've developed, if you want a very comprehensive theory of why this is true, and I will be debunking it point by point. The working title of the book is if you can just print money, why do I pay taxes?
Mm.
And I've had a lot of fun because also I grew up in Argentina, where we could say that has been tried and it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
So I think it's I've had a lot of fun writing this book, and I think I hope the readers will have fun, because even
Mm.
though I'm debunking this specific theory, it kind of helps you analyze the world and how things work, including quantitative easing, which has been very controversial and has, especially during COVID. And I've included lots of conversations that happen in the UK Parliament regarding, why did you guys at the central bank create so much money to buy exactly the amount of debt that the government was issuing? You guys are supposed to be independent. Were you actually guys connected? So it's a little bit of a soap opera. And I think we should all understand this, because money is a very important part of our lives. And I'm afraid, just like the AI thing is very seductive to a lot of people, just use AI for everything. This idea of, the government, we should remove central bank independence. We should let the government print money more freely. It's going to go well. Trust politicians to do a good job with that. I think we need to, nip it in the bud. I think that's an expression people use.
We need to educate ourselves. And we can't rely on the politicians to educate us, I don't think. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing that book when it's ready.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you so much. It's been really good having you as my very first guest on the channel.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.